The quiet girl in the guest house seat was a Sunday morning. Sunlight fell softly on the hills of Beverly, and the wind felt light, like a whisper. Inside his peaceful home, Keanu Reeves was sipping black coffee, barefoot, reading an old book by the window. Everything was calm, everything was still. And then, from the far end of his garden, came a soft, tapping sound. Not loud, not rushed, just steady and careful, like someone arranging pieces on a wooden board. Keanu paused and listened. The sound felt familiar, but strange at the same time. He stood up and followed the faint tapping. It came from the small guest house he had turned into a rest space for his caretaker, Jorge, and his family. Jorge had worked with him for years, honest, kind, and quiet. His wife cleaned the place twice a week, but Keanu had never seen their daughter up close. He remembered Jorge mentioning her once. She's shy, always reading or playing games. By herself. Keanu walked across the grass in silence and peeked into the open window of the guest house. Sitting on a low stool, bent over a small foldable chessboard, was a girl no older than 12. Her long dark hair was tied in a messy braid. Her fingers moved with care, lifting each chess piece like it was made of glass. She wasn't playing against anyone. She was playing both sides, white and black, and the look on her face, it wasn't just focus. It was something more, like her mind was swimming deep into a world only she understood. He knocked gently on the doorframe. The girl looked up, startled. Her eyes were large, brown, filled with both fear and wonder. "Hey," Keanu said softly. "Don't stop. I was just listening. You play?" She nodded. "You know who I am?" he asked with a smile. She nodded again, still quiet. "What's your name?" "Emma," she whispered. He stepped inside slowly, careful not to scare her. "Emma, can I sit?" She looked at him, then pointed at a crate beside the stool. He sat down. "You always play alone?" "Nobody wants to play," she said, her voice barely louder than the breeze. Keanu smiled. "I do." "Teach me." Emma blinked. "You don't know how to play?" "I know the rules," he said, "but I've never played like that. With that kind of quiet, that kind of magic." She looked down, blushing. "I play when I feel sad. It helps me breathe." Keanu's heart softened. There was something in the way she spoke, not just shy, but like someone who carried silence as a shield. He had seen people like that before. Sometimes he had been that person. "Okay," he said gently. "Let's play one game, just for fun." Emma nodded. She turned the board around, gave him the white pieces, and pressed the black queen back into place. The first few moves were simple. Keanu moved his knight out. Emma responded with her bishop. Then, 3 moves later, Keanu leaned back and laughed. "Wait a second, you just trapped me." Emma looked up, nervous. "I didn't mean to. I was just playing." He shook his head, grinning. "Emma, you're really good." She shrugged. "I just practice a lot." He looked around the small room. It was clean but modest. An old mattress, a worn bookshelf, some drawings taped to the wall. He saw a dusty trophy beside a stack of books. It said, "District Junior Chess Tournament. First place." He picked it up. "You won this." She nodded, biting her lip. "Last year. But then, my mom got sick. We couldn't go to the next level." Keanu's hand froze. "Is she okay now?" "She's resting more," Emma said. "Dad works a lot now. I help him. We don't have time for games." Keanu's face turned serious. He stared at the chessboard, then at Emma, then at the small dusty window. Something inside him stirred like a quiet storm rising. "Emma," he said slowly, "how would you feel if we played again tomorrow? Same time?" She looked confused. "Why?" "Because I want to learn," he said, "and I think you have a lot to teach." She smiled, not big, but real. "Okay." As he stood up to leave, Keanu looked back at the chessboard. A simple game between 2 people from very different worlds. Yet something in that game had changed the air between them. He didn't know then how deep the story would go. He didn't know who Emma really was. And he had no idea that she would soon change not just his days, but his heart. Asterisk hidden moves and quiet truths. Next morning, the sky was cloudy. The wind carried a soft chill, and the smell of wet grass filled the air. Keanu Reeves arrived at the guest house holding 2 cups, one with black coffee and one with warm hot chocolate. He gently knocked on the wooden door, and after a few seconds, Emma opened it. She wore the same shy expression, her hair freshly braided, her eyes quietly curious. "For you," Keanu said, handing her the hot chocolate. Emma took it with both hands and whispered, "Thank you." They sat down again, same places, same board. But this time, Keanu noticed something different. The air between them was warmer, not louder, just more open. Emma smiled once when he made a silly mistake with his pawn, and when she captured his rook with a move he didn't expect, she quietly said, "Check." He chuckled. "Emma, you're brutal." "You said you wanted to learn," she said softly. Keanu leaned forward. "Where did you learn all this?" Emma looked down. "My grandfather taught me. He used to be a school teacher. He said chess is like life. You have to see things before they happen." Keanu nodded slowly. "He sounds wise." Emma's voice dropped. "He passed away last winter. After that, I played alone." Keanu stayed quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I lost someone close. To my best friend. Years ago." They didn't say much after that. Just the sound of chess pieces moving, quiet understanding growing between. Then a few days passed. Every morning, Keanu came to the guest house. Sometimes he brought breakfast, sometimes just a story to share. Emma opened up slowly. She talked about books she liked, how her mom used to hum lullabies while cooking, and how sometimes at night, she would dream of playing chess against a room full of silent people clapping in the end. Keanu watched her carefully, not as a movie star, not as a guest, but as a man who saw something rare. He noticed her way of thinking, how she planned 10 moves ahead. He tested her with tricks, and she dodged them like water slipping through fingers. One evening, after their 6th game, Jorge came home early and saw them sitting at the table. His eyes widened with surprise. "Mr. Reeves," Jorge said, walking in, wiping his hands, "You've been playing with Emma." Keanu smiled. "More like getting schooled by her." Jorge looked embarrassed. "I hope she's not disturbing you, sir." "Not at all," Keanu said firmly. "She's brilliant." Emma looked down, shy again. Jorge scratched his head. "She used to play in school tournaments, but since things got tight, we had to pull her out." Keanu asked gently, "Have you thought of entering her in the state championship?" Jorge laughed without joy. "It costs too much. Travel, stay, registration. I wish we could." Keanu was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "Would you mind if I help?" Jorge blinked. "Sir, I believe in her," Keanu said, "and it would be my honor." Jorge didn't answer right away. His eyes grew wet. He looked at Emma, who was now frozen, unsure of what was happening. "We don't want charity," Jorge whispered. "It's not charity," Keanu said. "It's respect, and maybe friendship." That night, Jorge spoke to his wife. They cried. They held each other. And in the morning, Jorge nodded and said, "Okay." Emma looked at Keanu with something new in her eyes, something she had never shown before. Hope. Keanu spent the next few days making calls. He reached out to old friends, a retired chess coach he once met at a fundraiser, and even arranged for Emma to get a brand new chess set delivered to the guest house. It had her name carved on it. The next time they sat to play, Emma placed the carved board on the table with quiet pride. Keanu smiled. "Now I'm really in trouble." But this time, before they started, Emma looked at him and asked, "Can I teach you something?" Keanu leaned forward. "Of course." She rearranged the board and showed him a move called the smothered mate. It was a beautiful trap, short, smart, and sharp. He watched closely, amazed. "You really are a magician," he said. Emma giggled for the first time. He looked at her carefully. "Emma, do you ever get scared of competing?" She nodded. "Sometimes. I feel small, like people won't see me." Keanu touched his chest. "You see this?" She looked. "This is where your power is," he said. "And when you sit at that board, the world has no choice but to see you." That night, she wrote in her notebook, "Keanu sees me," and for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel invisible. What none of them knew was that this journey had already caught the attention of someone unexpected, someone who had been following Emma's quiet progress through school records, tournament stats, and local chess club reports. And soon, someone would reach out not just to Emma, but to Keanu himself. But for now, it was just the two of them. A girl with hidden strength. And a man learning more from her than he ever expected. The call that changed everything. 3 weeks had passed since Keanu first sat across from Emma. Since then, the mornings had become a quiet ritual: chess at 8, cocoa and coffee, laughter and lessons. The guest house felt brighter now. Emma smiled more. Even her posture had changed. She sat taller, more sure of herself. Keanu noticed every little change, and in truth, he had changed too. Not in some big, dramatic way, but something inside him felt softer, lighter. He looked forward to the games, not just for the strategy, but for the peace they brought. Then came the call. It was late in the evening. Keanu was sitting by the fire in his main house, reading a letter Emma had written for his birthday. It was hand-drawn, with little chess pieces around the edges and one short line in the middle. "Thank you for seeing the part of me no one ever looked at." His phone buzzed. He didn't recognize the number, but he answered anyway. "Hello. Is this Mr. Keanu Reeves speaking? My name is Marlene Chow. I'm calling from the National Youth Chess Federation." Keanu sat up. "Yes, we've been reviewing talent across the state for the upcoming Youth Invitational. Your name came up in connection with a girl named Emma Rodriguez. Her local coach sent us a note about her talent, and we were stunned." Keanu blinked. "You've seen her play. We reviewed past game data, tournament footage from a school competition 2 years ago, and a few new clips submitted by Coach Nathan Dre. We'd like to invite her to the regional qualifying round." "You're serious?" "Completely. But there's something else," Marlene said. "This tournament comes with pressure. Media, rankings, expectations. We want to make sure she has the support she needs. And if she qualifies, she could represent the country in the Junior World Chess Championship." Keanu felt his heart race. He thanked Marlene, took down the details, and hung up. For a long moment, he just sat there, staring into the fire. Emma, the girl with the quiet voice and the mind of a storm. He got up and walked to the guest house. Jorge and his wife were inside, folding clothes, tired from work. Emma was sitting on the floor, drawing a chessboard in her notebook. "Can we talk?" Keanu asked. They all turned to him. That he sat down beside Emma and placed a hand gently on the notebook. "You remember the state tournament you missed last year?" She nodded. "They want you back. They saw your games. They want you to play in the regional qualifiers." Emma froze. Her pencil dropped. Jorge stood up. "Sir, really?" Keanu nodded. "Really?" Emma looked from her dad to her mom, then to Keanu. "But I'm not ready." Keanu smiled. "You're more ready than you know. What if I lose? Then we learn and try again." "But what if you win?" Emma looked down. "I've never played in a big room. People watching, lights, cameras. What if I mess up?" Keanu leaned in. "You won't. And if you do, we'll be there. We're not here for trophies. We're here for your truth." Her mom walked over and hugged her from behind. Tears filled her eyes. "Mi niga," she whispered. "You're so much more than we ever knew." They all sat together that night, planning, preparing, dreaming. The next day, Coach Nathan Dre came to meet Emma. He was a soft-spoken man in his 50s with kind eyes and a patient voice. He had coached young players for 20 years. When he played Emma for the first time, he lost in 16 moves. He looked at Keanu and said, "This girl is not just smart. She's special. Her brain doesn't just think ahead, it dances ahead." Training began immediately. Every day, Emma practiced with Nathan in the mornings, played friendly matches with Keanu in the afternoon, and spent her evenings studying classic games. But something unexpected began to happen. Emma's story started spreading. A photo leaked online. Emma sitting across from Keanu, teaching him a puzzle. Someone from the chess club had taken it and posted it with the caption, "Movie star learns from prodigy." The post went viral. News outlets picked it up. Fans started messaging Keanu. Some praised him. Others asked if this was a movie. But Keanu stayed quiet. He didn't do interviews. He didn't want attention. Emma was already feeling the weight of the spotlight. One day, while setting up the board, she whispered, "I don't like being watched." Keanu nodded. "Neither do I." She looked at him. "How do you do it then?" He thought for a moment. "I remember why I'm there. I think of the people who matter." And I tell myself this moment isn't about them watching me. It's about me watching myself. Emma thought about that all night. The day of the regional qualifier arrived. Emma wore a simple white shirt, black pants, and a tiny bracelet her mom had given her. Keanu drove her to the hall. The building was big, cold, and full of noise. Kids from all over the state were checking in. Some wore matching jackets. Some had their own coaches and even press behind them. Emma held her small bag close to her chest. She looked up at Keanu. They all look like they belong. He knelt beside her. So do you. You earned your seat. Now go take it. When they called her name, she walked to her table. Her opponent was a tall girl from a private academy. Confident, fast, and slightly arrogant. Emma sat down. Hands trembling, she breathed slowly. Like Keanu taught her, remembered her grandfather's voice, remembered the games played in silence. Then the match began. Within 10 moves, Emma had cornered her opponent's king. Within 20, she had her on defense. By the 32nd move, the room had fallen quiet. Checkmate. A round of soft applause followed. Emma looked up not to the cameras, not to the other players, but to the back of the room where Keanu stood, his hand over his heart, smiling. He mouthed the words, "You did it." Emma smiled, not wide but full. But that was just round one. Bigger battles were ahead, and someone, somewhere, was about to test everything she had learned. Asterisk whispers of doubt, voices of strength. Emma had passed the regional qualifiers. She had won all 4 of her matches, each more difficult than the last. Her name was now officially listed among the top 10 young players. Invited to the state-level championship. It was all happening fast. Coaches began calling. Schools started asking about her future, and even small chess magazines wanted interviews. But in the quiet corners of her mind, Emma wasn't celebrating. The night after her final win, she sat alone in her room. The light from the small table lamp cast shadows over the new chess trophies, lying neatly beside her bed. But her eyes weren't looking at the gold. They were staring at a page in her notebook. On it, she had written a single question. What if I'm not who they think I am? That week, things got even more intense. Coach Nathan pushed her harder. Her sessions with Keanu grew longer. He noticed something was off. Her moves felt rushed. Her calm, sharp focus was now shaky. During one game, she made a basic mistake, something she hadn't done in weeks. Keanu looked at her and asked gently, "Emma, are you okay?" She nodded, but he could tell it was a lie. He didn't push. Not right away. 2 days later, she skipped a morning practice. Her mom said she wasn't feeling well. But that evening, Keanu found her outside, sitting near the backyard fence. Her knees pulled to her chest. He sat down beside her without a word. They watched the sky for a while. Finally, he asked, "Want to tell me what's going on?" Emma wiped her eyes. "I don't know if I'm good enough anymore." Keanu stayed silent. "Everyone keeps saying I'm special," she whispered. "But what if it's just luck? What if I just got easy matches? What if next time I fail in front of everyone?" Keanu leaned forward. "Emma, do you remember the first time we played?" She nodded. "You weren't trying to prove anything then. You were just being yourself. Calm, focused, gentle, powerful." She didn't respond. He continued, "You're not here because of luck. You're here because you worked for it. And even if you lose tomorrow, it doesn't take away what you've already done." Emma looked at him with watery eyes. "But what if I disappoint you?" Keanu smiled softly. "Emma, I'm proud of you even when you lose to me in practice. I'm proud of you when you try, when you get back up, when you smile after a hard day." He paused. "You don't have to win to be worthy." Emma nodded, but her heart still trembled. The next morning, something unexpected happened. A letter arrived, hand-delivered in an envelope with the logo of a well-known private academy in New York. It was an invitation. "Dear Emma, we have been watching your games closely and would like to offer you a full scholarship to attend our school and represent us in national tournaments. We believe you have the potential to become one of the top junior players in the world. Your journey is just beginning. Coach Anand Rao, Elmhurst Chess Academy." Emma read the letter 3 times. Her fingers shook as she passed it to Keanu. He read it carefully, then looked at her. "How does this make you feel?" he asked. "Scared," she said honestly. "Why?" "Because it's real now. It's not just our quiet mornings and fun games, it's big, and I'm not ready. Keanu nodded. Then we take one step at a time. Emma's father was both proud and nervous. Her mother cried when she heard about the offer, but they didn't rush to say yes. They wanted Emma to choose. She didn't say anything for 3 days. Then, late one evening, after a slow game with Keanu, she said quietly, "I want to go." He looked at her, surprised. "You're sure?" "Yes," she said, "but only after the state championship. I want to finish what I started." Keanu reached across the board and shook her hand. "Deal." The state championship was only 10 days away now. The pressure grew heavier, but Emma seemed stronger. Her steps were steadier, her hands more relaxed. She even began helping other young players at the local community center. She taught a boy how to avoid a common trap and showed a girl how to protect her queen. Keanu watched her with pride. She was growing into something more than a player. She was becoming a leader. Then came the twist no one saw coming. 2 nights before the championship, Coach Nathan rushed into Keanu's house. His face was pale. He held his phone out. "Keanu, you need to see this." On the screen was a news report. Controversy at the state junior chess finals. Several players questioned the eligibility of Emma Rodriguez, claiming she received private coaching and celebrity support, giving her an unfair advantage. The headline read, "Keanu Reeves' secret chess protege, did she get special treatment?" Keanu stood frozen. "Who leaked this?" "Someone from the regional board." Nathan said, "Probably jealous, maybe scared of how good she is." Emma hadn't seen it yet. Keanu walked to the guest house. He found her brushing her hair, getting ready for bed. "Emma," he said gently, "I need to tell you something." She listened. As he explained, he showed her the article. He saw her face change, not into fear, but into something stronger, a quiet kind of resolve. "They don't think I belong," she said softly. Keanu knelt beside her. "You don't have to prove anything to them, I know," she whispered. "But I want to." The next day, a message came from the state board. The match was still on, but all players would now be under tighter observation. No phones, no coaches near the playing area. Everything would be watched closely. Emma didn't blink. "Let them watch," she said. And Keanu knew then this girl, once too shy to speak, now stood tall in a storm of judgment, not to fight, but to show who she really was. The girl who made the room go silent. Day of the state championship arrived with gray skies and cold wind. The venue was a large, echoing hall downtown, filled with rows of tables, cameras mounted on the walls, and quiet murmurs from the crowd. It felt more like a courtroom than a competition. Judges wore serious expressions. Security guards checked everyone's passes. No family, no phones, no one near the players. Rules had been tightened. Eyes were on Emma. She walked into the room with her head high, even though her hands trembled inside her sleeves. She had practiced. She had prepared. But still, the weight of the whispers followed her. Keanu wasn't allowed inside the match area, but he stood just beyond the glass doors. He wore a baseball cap low over his face, not wanting attention. Not today. Today wasn't about him. Inside, Emma sat down at table 7. Her opponent was a tall boy from the North District, ranked second in the state. He looked at her with the same expression others had that morning, half curious, half doubtful. Emma closed her eyes and breathed slowly, just like Keanu taught her. When the clock started, the match began. The boy played fast and aggressive. Early attacks, bold traps. But Emma didn't panic. She defended carefully, let him waste energy, then turned the game. By the 26th move, he had no way out. By the 33rd move, she whispered, "Checkmate." The judge at her table leaned forward, checked the board twice, then nodded, confirmed. Emma stood up, bowed slightly, and walked away without a word. By the second match, people had started to notice, not just that she won, but how she won, with calm, clean strategies, like she had a map in her head no one else could see. During the break, Keanu met her in the waiting room. "How do you feel?" he asked. "Like my heart's a drum," she said, "but it's beating steady." He smiled. "That's all you need." Before the final match, Emma sat alone. She didn't talk, didn't look around, just sat with her hands folded in her lap, remembering the sound of her grandfather's voice, the smell of her mother's cooking, the quiet laughter of Keanu during their first game. Her final opponent was the defending state champion, a girl named Eliza Chun, famous in the chess world for her cold precision and 5-year winning streak. People whispered that Eliza didn't just play chess, she devoured her opponents. When Emma took her seat across from her, Eliza gave a small nod. "You're the one with the actor friend." Emma didn't reply. She looked at the board. "Just so you know," Eliza added, "celebrity won't help you here." Emma looked up, and for the first time all day, she spoke with full strength. "I didn't come here to be helped. I came here to play." The judge signaled the start. Eliza moved first to king's pawn opening. Emma answered smoothly. The match was long, intense. The room grew quieter with every move. No one walked around. No one whispered. Even the judges leaned in closer. Eliza attacked again and again, trying to break Emma's defenses. But Emma wasn't just reacting, she was planning, waiting. By the 40th move, Emma sacrificed her bishop. The crowd gasped. Eliza leaned forward, confused. By the 42nd move, Emma sacrificed her knight. Eliza frowned. And by the 45th move, it happened. Checkmate. Silence. Not applause. Not noise. Just stillness. Then slowly, the room erupted. Even. The judge stood and clapped. Emma sat frozen, staring at the board. She had done it. She was the state champion. Backstage, Keanu ran to her. She saw him and burst into tears, burying her face in his chest. "You did it," he whispered. "You really did it. I was so scared," she sobbed. "But you played anyway," he said. "And that's what makes you strong." Her parents arrived minutes later. Jorge held her so tight she almost couldn't breathe. Her mother couldn't stop crying. Coach Nathan called it the most beautiful game I've ever seen from a child that age. And news spread fast. The photo of Emma standing next to the board, hands folded, eyes teary but proud, went viral within hours. Articles called her the quiet queen and the calm storm. They spoke of her grace, her strategy, and her incredible rise. But not all attention was kind. A few voices online still questioned if she deserved it. They said things like she had help, she had famous support, she didn't climb the ladder alone. When Keanu read the comments, he wanted to respond, wanted to tell the world what he saw and heard, the hours, the tears, the lonely games, the courage. But Emma stopped him. "They don't know," she said, "and they don't need to." He looked at her and smiled. "You really are wiser than me," he said. She giggled. "Sometimes, but just when they thought the story had reached its end." Another twist arrived. 2 days later, a man in a suit arrived at Keanu's home with a sealed envelope. Inside was a letter from the International Chess Council. Emma Rodriguez had been invited to compete in the Junior World Championship in Switzerland. Fully sponsored. The letter ended with one line, "The world is watching." Emma read it. Then looked at Keanu. "Do you think I'm ready?" she asked. He knelt beside her. "You were ready the first time you played with both sides of the board," he said. "Now the world just needs to see what I already know." But the journey ahead would not be easy. A new country. Unknown players. Greater pressure, and a decision that Emma would soon face, one that would test not just her mind, but her heart. The final move no one saw coming. 3 months later, the mountains of Switzerland stood tall under soft clouds. The air smelled clean, like fresh snow and pine needles. Emma stood by the glass window of her hotel room, looking out at a city that spoke in soft German and quiet French. Everything felt different, colder, sharper. But inside her, something felt clearer than ever. She wasn't scared anymore. The Junior World Chess Championship was held in a large hall near the edge of the city. There were players from Japan, India, Brazil, Russia, Egypt, and more. Every child here had earned their place. Every child carried stories of their own. But only one had: Keanu Reeves, sitting quietly in the back of the room, hiding under a cap, hands folded like a monk. Emma single quotes S first few games were smooth, smart openings, careful defenses, and one beautiful endgame that got her a standing ovation. Reporters tried to get interviews, but she kept her head down. "I'm here to play," she said softly. "Not to talk, During one quiet evening, Keanu brought her warm tea and sat beside her on a bench outside the hotel. "You look peaceful," he said. "I feel peaceful," she replied. "Like this is where I was meant to be." He looked at her. "I came here thinking I was helping you. But somewhere along the way, you helped me. You reminded me of what matters." Emma smiled. "Like chess, like showing up, like being honest, like finding strength in silence." Emma leaned her head on his arm. "You were the first person who looked at me like I was already enough, before I ever won anything." Keanu's eyes filled. "You were always enough, Emma. You just needed someone to remind you." The final round of the World Championship arrived. Emma sat across from a boy named Mikhail, a Russian prodigy with sharp eyes and a flawless record. He hadn't lost a single game in 2 years. His coach stood beside him like a general preparing for war. Emma placed her hands on the table. She looked at the board. She heard nothing but her own breath. Mikhail played aggressively. Traps, sacrifices, tricks. Emma didn't blink. She remembered her training, her grandfather's words, her mother's hands, George's voice. Keanu's smile. By move 30, the game was even. By move 40, Emma was on the defensive. By move 46, she did something no one expected. She gave up her queen. The crowd gasped. Mikhail paused. His fingers hovered. Then he took it. But the moment he did, Emma made 3 quiet moves. Pawn to d7. Bishop to b5. Knight to f6. And just like that, checkmate. The room froze. No one moved. Then the judge whispered, "Confirmed," and the crowd stood up. Keanu stood too, tears slipping down his face. He didn't cheer. He didn't shout. He just placed his hand over his heart, the same way he did at the regional match. Emma stood, bowed gently, and walked off the stage. But the moment that touched everyone's heart wasn't the win. It came an hour later, during the awards ceremony, when the trophy was handed to her, and cameras flashed from every corner. The host leaned in and asked her in front of everyone, "Emma, what's your secret?" Emma took the microphone. The whole room fell silent. "My secret," she said softly, "is that I don't play to win. I play to remember who I am." She looked at Keanu. "And I play for the people who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." The crowd clapped. But Keanu, he cried. That night, back at the hotel, Emma sat beside him as they looked at the trophy. "Do you want to keep it?" she asked. "No," he said. "It's yours." She shook her head. "I don't mean the trophy." He looked confused. "I mean this moment," she said. "Do you want to keep it?" He smiled gently. "I already have." Emma eventually accepted the scholarship at Elmhurst Academy. She moved to New York with her parents, who both found new jobs nearby. She kept training, kept growing, but never forgot where it started. And every year, no matter where she was in the world, she would send a handwritten letter to Keanu on the same date they first played. The first letter read, "Dear Keanu, today, I played both sides of the board again, just like the first day. And I remembered what you said. That's where the magic begins." He framed that letter, and above the frame, he placed a photo of the guest house. 2 chairs, 1 small board, and a girl who taught the world how to move in silence.